This week on our Outside the Pegs interview, I'm joined by a former youth world champion, British Masters champion and the reigning European Grasstrack champion, Mr. Zach Wajtknecht. Hello, Zach. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, mate.
And Zach, first of all, I was listening to the Talk Speedway podcast a few weeks back, and they were all arguing over who got to say your name because they're both frightened of saying it. So can you confirm once and for all, how are we supposed to be saying your surname?
Yeah, it's a Wajtknecht, so a lot different to how it looks when it's wrote down, obviously, but over the years I've kind of got used to it because quite a few people struggle with it, which normally happens, but no, Wajtknecht's the right way.
Yeah, I bet you're fed up with having to try and tell people how it's supposed to be said by now.
Nah, it's alright, so it's quite a tough one, it's not the easiest of ones. I had it quite a lot through school as well, so now I'm used to it now.
Yeah, I'll try and remember that for when I'm commentating. I'll try and remember Wajtknecht. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one.
I'll try and remember that from now on. So, Zach, it's a big season 2020 coming up and obviously lots to prepare for, but how's your pre-season preparation coming along?
Yeah, a lot different to the previous years, obviously, because I've been committed to, obviously, both the sport, Speedway and Grasstrack, so obviously I took a break halfway through last year from the Speedway and wanted to concentrate more on the Grasstrack and Longtrack, so I wasn't happy with the amount of time I was putting in to my Grasstrack bikes because I was obviously had to put the Speedway first, and before a meeting I would just be out there frantically like working in the garage trying to get them ready, and now I can take time with them and spend more time, and I'm having new bikes built and that, so hopefully the time we're putting in on the bikes over the winter should hopefully pay off during the season as well now.
Yeah, I mean, for someone like myself who's a Grasstrack fan through and through and not Speedway, it's obviously music to my ears that what you're talking about there. But it's an unusual decision because obviously most riders, they come through the youth Grasstrack scene and then they do a few Grasstracks and then clear off to Speedway and we never see or hear of them again. But you've had a bit of the Speedway, but now you're full on Grasstrack. What was the thinking behind the decision?
Oh, it's just a tough one really, mate. I think it all went a bit quick for my liking, which is good in one way. Obviously, I went to the National League and obviously started off on a 3-point average, and next year I was at number 1, and then just kept progressing, then up to the middle league, and then obviously 3 years at Swindon, which obviously all the clubs I've been to have been pretty good and that. So, but yeah, like I think I didn't really, the way I put it down to, I didn't really have enough time to find a setup on Speedway over the past. Like last year, I didn't feel comfortable on the bike and stuff, so just thought like I need to take a bit of time away from it to find something better for me on the bike and have a little play with Speedway, and that's what I needed. I think I was a lot of pressure on that, so I didn't want to keep carrying on knowing that I wasn't 100% on the bike, and it's just something that I've done, and like I said, if I was either going to regret it after I do it or it's going to be all right, but you never know until you actually do it. So just a few different things that come into it, but it should be all right. Yeah,
I mean, well, you packed up the Speedway, and then within a few months you were European champion. So the early signs were good for it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, obviously with the Grasstrack, I can go. I've been doing it for ages, so I found something that I was comfortable with, and like I say, whenever I jumped on my Grasstrack bike, I was just like I think the European semi last year, I didn't do a meeting all year. That was my first meeting on my Grasstrack bikes. It was brand new bikes, so I jumped on them in practice and I won that meeting, and like I said, it was because I found something decent with it, and I've had all the time to like obviously try different stuff with my bike and that, so just haven't really had the time with Speedway, obviously, because like I said, it's gone too quick, and I think I needed a bit of time away to find something, and I wanted to work on a few things, but obviously you don't really get practice during the season, so it's hard to mess with stuff because you want to be scoring points during the meeting, and obviously so does the team as well. So like I said, but no, Grasstrack's always something that I've been pretty comfortable with.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a long time you've been riding, and sort of we'll get onto that in a minute, but obviously this year is a big year for you. I mean, you're set to defend your European title, and if all goes to plan with the semi-finals, you'll be defending it on home soil. And so that meeting at Midshires must be something you're really looking forward to.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to have a meeting over here. I think, obviously, a lot of the French and German riders and that, they do struggle when they come to England. So it's a bit of a mind game kind of thing, obviously, because it's a lot different to the tracks they have over there, which are quite smooth and that. And so like I said, I had quite a good meeting at Midshires last year. Obviously, had a bit of a crash in the final, but still qualified. So it'd be good to go back there and, like you said, hopefully try and defend it.
Yeah, it'll be brilliant because obviously we had James Shanes win the Euro final at Swingfield a few years ago, and we've sort of turned British Grasstrack into a bit of a fortress for our British riders. But yeah, last year at that semi-final, obviously went really well. Now, obviously that win at it was Bad Hersfeld, wasn't it? The European final. A brilliant day, obviously a day that you're going to remember for a long, long time. What's your sort of memories of that day?
I did ride there in the 125s when I was younger, and actually kind of the same thing kind of happened. It rained all day. I was going really well in practice, and it rained, and my bike kept cutting out, and so obviously I obviously been to the track before, but no, definitely it was quite a tricky track with it being quite grippy and that, and quite small and tight. So but no, everything went well. Engines were good, obviously. Being with the GTR now, so Marcel managed to find something that worked for that track, and like I said, the weather did come into it a bit at the end, but it was I managed to get out in front in the final and not have too much mud and all that in my face, and it worked out good.
Yeah, and you just said there about Marcel Gerhard's engines and the GTR. How much input Marcel had on your racing?
Definitely a lot over the past year. It was a big change for us. We went to Marcel, actually, obviously, because I've been with Track Plus with Dave Lord and that, which was new track for floor. I've been with him since I was a kid, and since he first started up with Track Plus, and he just mentioned it over the 2018 winter because I wanted to go for the World Longtrack and that, and we'd done like a bit of a test in Waldorf at the start of the year, but obviously I was still doing the Speedway then, so I was, like I said at the start, like concentrating more on the Speedway because I had more meetings and more bikes to keep up together and stuff. But no, definitely we thought we're going to go with Marcel and try it and put everything into it, and like I said, it's paid off. So yeah, it has been good, and hopefully we can carry it on.
Yeah, so obviously I'm assuming you're still on the GTR for 2020, but what's the main difference between the GTR and a GM, for example? What have you found the difference with riding one?
Not too sure. It's hard to with different tracks and different engines and stuff, but obviously they do say about the maintenance and that, like it's a strong engine and stuff, and I found it's a lot smoother. Like I managed to, he done me an engine for Bad Hersfeld, like just for that track, and it was a lot smooth, and obviously he knew it was going to be grippy, so he smoothed it out a little bit, and just make it different for each track. So I went to Mariansky, and that was kind of the first meeting that I'd done proper on the GT, apart from mid-chars. Obviously I'd done mid-chars, went to Mariansky and won the first 3 races, and they were like going really good. So yeah, obviously it's hard to explain, but like I said, for me it's working. So yeah, I'm just gonna stick with it. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, it sounds really good, and it's obviously a partnership that's working. And another partnership you talked about there was with Dave Lord, for Track Plus. Yeah. And obviously he's been involved from your early days. So what sort of things has Dave's? I mean, he's been around for a long time with New Track before Track Plus. So what sorts of things has he helped you with?
Yeah, definitely. Like obviously you said about New Track and stuff like that. That was when he had the likes of Kelvin and that, and Kelvin Tatum won the World Longtrack and stuff. So you can kind of say that Dave and Jane, his wife, have been there and done that, been to all the meetings abroad, and they had a lot of. I think they had a European Championship winner and done a lot of parts for other riders as well. But yeah, definitely since the start. I think it was when he first started up. We went up there. I think it was one of the first when he was doing the track, when he started up his Track Plus, one of the first ones to go there and properly get me bikes done. That was when I was like 125, 250 kind of thing. So like you said, great bloke, like excellent at what he does and stuff. So it's always handy to have someone like that in your corner. And like going back to, like I said, with me being on the grass track, I've been having to work on different things, and obviously he can see what works, and like if I want to adjust something, he'll adjust it. And like I said, over the years, it's finally found something I'm comfortable with, and I can stick with it now. So yeah, like I said, they've done those for me, so can't thank them enough. And obviously there's a lot of other people as well. It's Paul Dunn and that from Keywise Cars have been massive over the years. I actually rode his boys used to ride Jack and Leo, so I actually had a problem with my bike at Cheshire during the 250, and I had to jump on Jack's, which I've never rode before, and that was actually the bike I won it on. So yeah, I owe a lot to them. They've helped me out over the years, and good family friends, mum and dad and that, and we go away and stuff. So yeah, he's top sponsor to me kind of thing. And like I said, another one that's been one of the cogs to help me get where I am now, and yeah, definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without people like Paul and Jack and the rest of the family and stuff. So yeah, it's good.
Paul, we still see at Grasstrack, but Jack and Leo are decent youth riders. They're not going to make any comebacks anytime soon.
Oh, I don't know. There's a mention about obviously we had the ACU the other day, and I think Jack was on about mentioning about the 140 class and stuff, and yeah, obviously they were good at, like you said, good youth riders and stuff, and I think they've got a bit older now and wanted to concentrate on other stuff, and like I said, they still get the enjoyment. Obviously, Jack and Leo come away with me, like one or the other sometimes, and you watch the meetings and stuff, so like you said, they were decent riders and stuff, so I don't know, maybe you might see one of them on a 140 or something like that, but yeah, I think for the minute they just enjoy coming away and helping me out, and yeah, that's their kind of thing now. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's obvious that you've had some decent people around you. Obviously, with Marcel doing the engines and Dave Lord sorting out your frames, and obviously the other one to mention is Paul Hurry, because well, he was runner up on the day at the European final, which was a remarkable ride from Paul. Given at this stage of his career, but how much of an influence has Paul been in your career?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think it was 2012. I started going over to the I think we were near enough. Me, like mum and dad and stuff, were near enough away every weekend doing 125 meetings abroad. Obviously, I think a few people were saying, "Oh, like it's a long way to go if you're not getting anything for it." But like over the long run, it made me a better rider for going abroad and stuff. So yeah, it's 2012, and obviously they send the rep over, and it was Paul. I think that was just after he had an operation on his arm or something, and yeah, like I said, to have someone that's been there and done it's good to have as a rep and stuff. So yeah, it just puts you at ease. He can tell you where to ride and stuff, and yeah, we just kind of got on really. So like over the past few years, he's mechanic for me in the speedway for like all my time and helped me out and stuff. So like I said, it's good to have someone that you can ring up and ask their point of view as well. So yeah, like you said, he's another one that's helped me out in my career, and yeah, like I said, can't thank him enough really. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, good stuff. It's good to now we're sort of putting this all together. There's an awful lot of pieces to the Zach jigsaw really, and yeah, obviously Paul was a main part of that, and but yeah, talking about Paul's achievements, that second place, it must have been nice to turn around and know that he was your runner-up.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I was thinking about what I was going to do and that, and I didn't really reckon like know who else who was in the final, because obviously it was ran pretty quick. But when I look back and seen Paul, obviously it was good. Like obviously it's always good to have more GB riders on the podium, but Paul to be there as well, and yeah, definitely like the way he's at, like the few injuries he's had have been like real bad injuries, but the way he still rides a bike is unbelievable kind of thing. Yeah, so no, it was good to look back and see him there, so that was good.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a brilliant season for Paul, and he looks like he's set for another big one in 2020 as well. He's not slowing down, but just moving away from that a little bit and talking about the sort of future of the sport, but you're one of a stream of sort of young riders that we seem to have at the minute coming into the sport, because you're only still 21, I believe. I think it's your birthday this weekend, isn't it? Or
yeah, 22 on the weekend.
Yeah, which is unbelievable, really. And we talked about James last week, and he's just about to turn 23. So you're all very young, and in the grand scheme of things. And we've got some really talented riders coming up at the minute with Charlie Brooks and Henry Atkins, and a little bit lower down we've got Cameron Taylor and Max Perry, of course. He sort of looks like he's emulating what you achieved as a youth a little bit, really. But so what advice would you give to the youngsters that are just coming through, things that you've learned as you've come along your journey?
Yeah, definitely. Just got to like kind of stick at it really, and make sure we're enjoying it. That's the main thing. Obviously, when we were younger, we kind of treated it as like the weekend was going away, we can relax and all that. Like we'd go the night before, and like mum and dad had a camper so we could camp out and stuff, and like that was the good times when everyone would camp out the night before. We'd all like have all these bikes that we've made at home and like race and all that, like push bikes. So yeah, it's good, but you need to go abroad really. You need to gain experience over there, and like I said, I know it's a lot for the cost wise and stuff, but it makes you like a better rider over the long run. You're going faster, you're on bigger tracks, and obviously it's closer racing as well, obviously, because they're all like everyone abroad's on top of their game as well. So yeah, you want to, like I said, try and get abroad, but the main thing is just to enjoy it really. So yeah,
I think we've talked about just there about Max Perry, but there's a whole handful of them. But last week with James Shanes, we talked about sort of him being around and in a few years, in sort of 8 to 10 years, and they're all going to be against you, and you must be in the same situation. You must be really excited to know that you've got some real stiff competition on its way.
Yeah, it's good. That's what I mean. Like, that's what we want. So, like you said, it's a shame that they kind of ride the grass track, like I've done anyway. I can't really say much, but like ride the grass track for the youth and then kind of move on to the speedway. I think that's just because there's more meetings, there's more practice. You know what I mean? If you want to be on the bike more, that's the reason they do go to speedway. Obviously, if there was more grass track meetings, I know the clubs do a great job of what they're doing now. But obviously, when there's a weekend where there's no grass track, if you can do a speedway meeting and get a bike in that, you're going to want to do that. And like I said, the more time you're on the bike, the more you're progressing. So, no, like you said, it's going to be good in a few years' time when everyone else comes up through the different classes and finally gets to the 500s and that. And, we'll probably have our workout a little bit then. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. It'll be brilliant to watch. I mean, I think, we're all looking forward to it. Obviously, it's just, like you've sort of touched on, it's keeping them on the green stuff, really. But, yeah, hopefully we'll see yourself and James battling against the likes of Max Perry and George Colvin and all of those youngsters soon. But now, your dad, Kevin, was a rider quite a few years ago, and I can just about remember him riding, I think, a few times. Obviously, he's been a massive support in your career. Your whole family have, really, but obviously Dad, having been an ex-rider, he's been a huge support. Had he given up by the time you were born?
Yeah, he was finished by then. He'd done a bit. He did actually ride in France. He went to St. Macaire and done a meeting over there, and he was pretty good. He tells me about when he was done. I think he'd done the upright championship, and he was winning it all day or something like that, and then got to the final and his bike broke down or something. So he tells me about that a few times. But massive influence. Him and Mum have done everything to help me out through the sport and that, and I think it's kind of paid off in the end with them. Like I said, with them taking me abroad and stuff, and not just go in there and come back. We treated it as like kind of like a holiday as well. So obviously, like I said, it does cost a bit more, but in the long run, I think over a long period of time, it does pay off. So but no, he did ride, and I think he broke his leg actually playing football, so that kind of finished him from the racing for a little bit, and then obviously I come along and just went with me racing then. So no, it's good. Yeah,
he's like I say, I can just about remember him doing a couple of meetings. I can't remember seeing him a lot, but I remember he was at the front, a decent rider. But yeah, and they've obviously supported you throughout the youth, and before you'd even got into the adults, you'd won 3 world championships, which was, remarkable, really. You'd won 2 on the 125, I think, and then a 250 world championship as well.
Yeah.
And then a few British titles as well, British youth championships and things. So when you finally got into the adults, did you feel a little bit of pressure that you were coming into the adults as a 15-year-old world champion?
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, with the 250 and that, I think the first one I won was at Fenland. I done the Senior A on the day before, and then the British Championships was a day after. I had a wild card, I think, and a few people weren't very happy. It was me and Callum Walker actually that had the wild card, and I think that was back in the days when they had the Grasstrack.net, and there was quite a lot of people were upset that we were both riding in it, and obviously you didn't know who it was in them days, and obviously you could go on there with a kind of like a fake name and write what you want. But that was what I wanted to, obviously, because I heard about what they were putting on there and stuff, and it kind of made me more determined to go out and win that meeting. So like I said, it was good to finally get like a 251 done, and obviously winning the ones as a kid, there's still quite a bit of pressure on them meetings, and obviously with the pressure it kind of helps out when you get to the adults end. So I think being in big finals and that I seem to cope quite well with, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, when you sort of came back, obviously as you were a kid, I don't know how old you were when you won your first world championship, but it must have been strange, like going into school on the Monday or whenever you got back to school, and nobody really knows what Grasstrack is. Nobody that we work with or go to school with know what it is. But there you are, strutting around as a world champion.
Yeah, it was weird. So I think I was 11 or 12. So it was in Germany, and I had a real big trophy, which that was the only thing I was worried about was what the trophies were like. That was the only thing you do worry about when you're younger. So it was pretty good. I think the year I'd done a few laps on the athletics track at school, so they all thought that was pretty cool after that. But like you said, Grasstrack's a lot different to kind of motocross and stuff like that, where a lot of people don't really understand what it is. So it took a lot of explaining of what I've actually done. But it was good to, like you said, go back into school and say, "Oh, I've done this at the weekend." So it was good.
Yeah, really weird. It'd be really strange. I mean, nobody really gets it, do they? That's the thing. But you did manage to win. You won the 250 title twice before moving up really to the 500 solos. And then, of course, you won the Masters title at Cheshire and put a stop to James Shane's winning 4 on the bounce. You and James got a bit of a rivalry.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't... Yeah, we've got 2 absolutely fantastic world-class racers, both in their early 20s. Do you enjoy racing against James?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, we kind of... Like, it's good for us and obviously good for the crowd as well. So Cheshire was a bit of a weird one. Obviously, the track... I won the 250 there, but the track was... Like I said, it's a challenging track, and I was giving people a lot of stick, and where I was like, I'm not going out again and stuff, but obviously they kept me going, and then we had a bit. I think it was a vote before whether we wanted the final to run and all that, and definitely, I think it was 4 against 3 or something wanted the final to run because you've worked all day for your points, and if it's all on the final, that's what you want to do anyway. So, but no, it was. I managed just to get out the start, and I thought, I don't need to hold on for another 4 laps, and it worked out in the end, so it was good.
Yeah, James, every time I talk about it with James, he's quick to point out that he had a puncture in the final.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened there, so, but, yeah.
Head down and do your own thing.
So, yeah, I didn't really look back. That's the only time I haven't looked back, really, so, yeah, like I said, it all happens. Someone will have some bad luck along the way, but, so you don't know what happened there, so, yeah.
Yeah, and you did what you had to do, and it's interesting, the Masters situation, because obviously it is the winner-take-all final now, which does make for a great race. What do you think about it being sort of winner-take-all? Obviously, it paid off for your European final.
Yeah, definitely. It's a tough one, really. Obviously, you know what you're up against. Like, you can't really complain after what goes on, because at the start of the meeting, everyone agrees to ride to rules it is, if you know what I mean. So I think at the European, I had 2 wins and 2 seconds, so... Like, going into the final, if it was on points, then I don't know. A few people say that, like, some riders save themselves during the races and just get to the final, but I think you just need to think about getting to the final, then think about that race then. So, but no, like I said, whatever the rules are, it's just what you've got to go along with, and I haven't really got I think all the meetings I've done have been like a winner-take-all final anyway, so yeah, that's what I'm just used to.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, actually, because, yourself, James, and a couple of other solo riders I've spoke to don't seem to be that bothered either way, as long as they know what it is before they start. But the sidecars, I mean, it's almost unanimous that they prefer the points all the way through. It's interesting to hear sort of a different perspective, solo and sidecar.
Yeah, no, I haven't really, like I said, I don't think you take too much notice. Obviously, you know what if it's a big meeting like the Masters, obviously you know what you want to do. You want to go and win it, and obviously someone's going to tell you about the situation before, and if you need points or if you need to just make the final, and that's just the way it goes, really. So yeah, like I said, I haven't really made much difference to me, and just got to carry on with what it is. Yeah,
and obviously this year's Masters is at Swingfield. Is that a track that you enjoy riding?
Yeah, definitely. I've had pretty good luck on both tracks. Obviously the track they have on the right, and obviously the one on the left as well. So I did the Champion of Champions there last year, and yeah, it is a good track. They always have. They know how to do it. Really, they have good preparation and good equipment and that. And yeah, like Astra Club put a good meeting together. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah,
it'd be a good one, and really, we're looking forward to seeing the lineup because it could be great. But we've all also got our fingers crossed that you're called up to the World Longtrack, because obviously you're now the first reserve for the series. Having had a go in 2019 in a couple of rounds, did you enjoy the experience of the World Longtrack last year?
Yeah, definitely. I had 2 good meetings, really. Obviously, the first one was at Marzes, and that was my kind of first experience of how it runs and the way of what happens and that. And then I had a better meeting at Roden and just missed out on the final kind of thing. Yeah, that was the aim last year, to try and get to the World Longtrack. I had a bit of bad luck in Sheasel where I was leading the first race, but then I had a problem with the bike, so I had to jump on my second bike, and obviously it wasn't as good as the first one. But yeah, it's a tough one. Obviously, I did apply for a wild card and didn't get it. But yeah, it's a tough one. Just like obviously some of the riders that did get it, I agree with some, but not others, if you know what I mean. So, yeah.
It's a really tough one because obviously James was given a wild card, but then he said that when the names came out, he was surprised. He thought that you would get it, given the fact that you were European champion.
I always said Long that he deserves one. He's done, obviously, I think he had fourth the year before, and obviously the injury was bad luck, but he was definitely up there before that as well. So he was always on the list, and obviously Kenneth was riding well. Obviously, he had a good meeting at the Bad Hurtsfield and Sheasel and stuff. So it just goes back to, obviously I put a lot of time in with riding in the FIA meetings as a kid, and if you know what I mean, like going to all their meetings and doing that, and it's just a bit frustrating really, but it don't make no difference. We're just going to go out this year and obviously try and qualify the legit way, and if we get in for next year.
Yeah, definitely. And I think to be honest, brutally honest, I think it just comes down to the fact that you're British and we can't provide a round for them to host that.
A lot of people say that. So it's just the way it is, kind of thing. Obviously, can't say too much about it. You don't want to upset too many people, but like you said, if we could have a round, then we'd have a better chance. But hopefully, maybe I get a chance at a few more rounds this year. And like I said, I think the challenge is at Roden, where I had a good meeting last year, so hopefully be pretty confident going there. And like I said, plan is to be like a full rider for next year now.
Yeah, and you've got the qualifier. Obviously, because you're not in the long track series itself, you do get to do the qualifier. You could end up in a situation where if all the stars align, where you're in the World Long Track series because somebody's dropped out. You score enough points to get in the top 8, and you could end up doing the qualifier as well, and you could end up getting in both ways.
I think someone at the ASU did explain that kind of thing. So, it's a tough one. Like I said, ready to go and hopefully qualify for next year. But if something does pop up where I have to come in straight away, then I want to be ready to have a good crack at it this year as well, if you know what I mean. So, just preparing. Obviously, I'm prepared to hopefully get the wild card for this year. But like I said, nothing's changed now, and just carry on how we are, and like I said, concentrate more on the grass track and long track. Yeah,
well, fingers crossed. I mean, we've talked before on the podcast about the circuits for the World Long Track. We've got obviously Herxheim and the one in Finland, Forza, and a couple of others, but they're sort of long tracks. Then you've got Lariol, which is a bit of a grass track, and Roden, which you rode last year. And then obviously the Polish Speedway track, which is nothing like a long track. But what's your preference really? Obviously you've done grass track.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, Bad Hurtsfield was a bit of a rough grass track, kind of like an English grass track kind of thing, and I seem to ride well. And then there's a lot of other meetings, like Mariansky it's a bit grippy, and I had a good meeting there, but it's a 1,000-meter track, so yeah, like not really fussed. And then I went to Tyak and had quite a good meeting there, and that's similar to like a speedway track. So yeah, obviously you just got to ride with what they come up with. And but I think maybe it would probably be good to have a long track round on like somewhat like Bad Hurtsfield and something like that, and see how it would go.
Yeah, frighten all the foreigners. They won't like that. We'll have one on a British grass track.
It will be good. So like I said, just carry on, see what happens over the next few months, and like I said, the aim is to get in for next year. So
yeah, and obviously you can spend a bit more time this year getting used to 1,000-meter circuits and the 1,000-meter long tracks.
Yeah, definitely. I did book into a few last year. A few got cancelled and stuff, but managed to, like I said, have a test at Muldorf, which is a hell of a track kind of thing, and then went to Mariansky and Sheasel, and yeah, like I said, all different tracks there. It's a different game on the long track. You need to be good at gating, really. You need to make the start, otherwise you make it hard work for yourself. And definitely at Sheasel, where it's real deep in the dirt's like, I remember in flick training I went out and went into the first corner and missed the start, and someone just sprayed it. It was just like someone just just sprayed you with mud like completely. And I was just going around the corner going quite fast and just couldn't see anything, and I just thought, I need to make starts here. So yeah, that's the main thing to do on there. Obviously, grass track, you're a bit more tight, and you can't try and avoid the roost and stuff. And obviously, there's not as much as a big long track, so you can be closer together. But definitely on the long track, you need to pick the right lines and make good starts. So it's just a little bit of difference.
Yeah, and obviously British grass track. Have you got much British grass track planned for 2020?
Yeah, hopefully, like I said, obviously I'm concentrating more on grass track this year, and if there isn't a meeting on abroad, I want to do more abroad meetings. Obviously, if there isn't one on abroad, then I'll be doing one over here. Hopefully, like I said, I can pick and choose what I want to do now. Obviously not signed with the club, so I've got I can, if I want to ride, I ride. If I don't, then I don't. So but like I said, I'll probably be riding. So just need to wait and see where they are and what pops up first. So hopefully get some more done. And it's always good to use them as like I said, it's good to go to the meetings and that, and kind of like when I was a kid kind of thing. So it's good. Yeah,
and obviously lots of friends about as well, I expect, and it's just never changes, does it? We all What obviously we've got Ledbury on the 5th of April. I mean, that's one that James and a couple of the others, I think, have already pledged that they're going to try and do that. But are there any clubs in particular in Britain that you're sort of keen to get to?
To be honest, mate, I haven't really. Obviously, I'm sorting all the bikes out and stuff, and just get to the point where probably near to this month I can sort out kind of like the calendar and stuff. Then, but I haven't really took too much detail and looked into the meetings yet. So, like I said, at the moment, just sorting out different meetings abroad and stuff, and then when I get a free weekend, or like I said, if I don't want to do a meeting abroad, I'll probably do one over here. So, like I said, closer to the time, I'll have more idea of where we're going and what we're doing, kind of thing. Yeah,
it sounds good. It does sound like, it sounds like we're going to see a little bit more of you, which is great.
Yeah.
Well, Zach, best of luck for 2020. Obviously, we're all rooting for you in the to defend your European title, and hopefully all that goes well. Great to hear you're just concentrating on the Grasstrack again for this season, and long may it continue.
Yeah, cool. So, just a quick one. Obviously, news about Danny Ayres is a bit of a shock, really. So, thoughts go to his family and his friends. Obviously, he was a good. I've seen a lot of him during the Speedway, and a lot of people did. And he was a great guy to have around. And if I'm sure he would have had a go at Grasstrack if he had his chance, and he would have pleased a lot of people on there as well. So like I said, thoughts with his family and stuff, and he's going to be missed. So
yeah, absolutely.